Our Bruce Gezon becomes the first SCCA Hall of Famer to have predominantly built his SCCA legacy in road rally, rather than starting in performance rally like so many others. Bruce, who is still competing at 80 years of age, is one of the most winning rallyists in SCCA history, credited with 43 national championships between 1968 and 2020. Currently a member of the Philadelphia and Allegheny Highland regions, Bruce's SCCA record includes the most United States Road Rally Championship wins, a record 15 consecutive wins in national rallies, the 1974 National Class A Championship, achieved by rallying a perfect 50 points with 11 different rally partners, driving in 6 events and navigating in 5, and being a member of the 5-car Ford Rally team from 1969 to 70, helping win the Manufacturers' Championship for Ford. Behind the scenes, Bruce remains points keeper and also co-editor of the SCCA RoadRally rulebook, and has served as Rally Master of National Rallies for 3 different SCCA regions and Rally Master of Divisional Rallies for 5 different regions, spanning more than 50 years. Tonight, our Bruce Gezon joins the SCCA Hall of Fame.
I fell in love with the sport of road rally when I was in high school. Bruce Gezon did as well, yet that was the year I was born. Unlike any of our other SCCA sports, we don't trailer our cars, work for the best time, and then have a race. We don't drive the same course 3 times for our best time. In our national TSD rallies, we are scored to the 1/100th of a minute or 1/10 of a second for being early or for being late. Teams earn penalty points for each 1/100th they are early or late. We run a course that is handed to us the day of the event. It's ever changing, as well as trying to figure out the puzzle a rally master may have built into it with the main road rules. You don't need prior knowledge to run a road rally, but I can assure you the number of years that Bruce Gezon has rallied have given him an advantage. He has seen many of the tricks of the trade, so to speak. Bruce has been a mentor to regions, to rally masters, and certainly those new to the sport. Harry Handley, I'm going to read you something. He wrote this in 1968 about our sport. Harry Handley, for those of you who don't know, was our SCCA archivist. A large vote of appreciation goes to the event organizers and workers. Nothing points up to the nature of our sport more than the contribution made by a huge number of people who voluntarily contribute untold hours and dollars to the organization of events, only so that others may compete. Of interest is the fact that 3 of the 4 champions also served as chairman of national rallies. Russ Brown on Coastal Matters, Jack Chittister, Tri-River, and Bruce Gezon on the Appalachian. If nothing else, this should show that the SCCA Rally Championship is a program by and for the membership, and therefore it is dependent on what you and your fellow member rallyists do now and in the future. Bruce has been doing this for 63 years. Yes, he did take a break for work and family obligations. You've heard his laurels. I will acknowledge that Bruce may be seen as an antagonist, and he has been known to protest at the end of a rally. Sometimes that affected his score, his team score, and sometimes not. Carol, Bruce's wife, described rallying as such. There is the rally, and then there's the 2 hours after where everybody argues with each other. Christopher, his son, said he believes that for those who really enjoy rallying, that camaraderie at rallies and debating is sort of fun of rallying. Christopher also shared this about his dad. Rallying has been the primary life passion for my father, and that he has every asset you need to excel at it. Attention to detail, recognizing where the puzzle is, and the competitiveness of the sport as well. He's very interested in genealogy, and like rallying, it involves patience, tenacity, intellect, and problem solving. He also enjoys driving, traveling and seeing new places, and exploring new dining spots along the way. Gene Henderson, a fellow member of the Hall of Fame, said this, and I want to read it to you. Rallying is family. Saying, mind you, he was talking about stage rally, but when I saw this clip years ago, it's perfect for road rally as well. The thing that brings you back to this is a lot to do with the people. The sport is fun and it's exciting and challenging, yet it is the people, the different friendships that you accumulate over the years. It is just like extended family. You know these people and you see them every 3 weeks from here to Timbuktu. And the places may be different and the restaurants and the hotels may be different, but these are the same faces. It's hard to get away from because I have known dozens of people who have quit for either financial reasons, destroyed their car, wife divorced them, and they couldn't afford it. Within 2 or 3 years, they're back again with a different wife or husband. And he chuckled there just like I did in the video. Yet the attraction is there and they just come back. It is a part of their extended family. You know that brings them back, I am sure. I think Gene nailed it pretty well. It is an extended family. And Bruce has been a part of the rally family, and rallying has been a part of his since 1958. He still enjoys the challenge of being a rally master, of being a driver at local club events, as well as divisional and national SCCA championship events. I've ridden in the back seat with Steve, Gaddy, and Bruce on a rally. It would have been the Land of Lakes region when they did the United States Road Rally Challenge. I was in awe of how they interpreted Mike Thompson's course. If my husband and I had been rallying, it would not have gone so well, and the debates would have been a little bit more vocal, perhaps. I've pre-checked one of Bruce's rallies when I was in Pennsylvania. His wife, Carol, was the navigator, and Bruce was in the back seat for that one. I've navigated for Bruce on Greg Glaster's Johnny Appleseed out of Ohio. This took place after the 2018 United States Road Rally Championship, which was in St. Louis. Gail Engblom, my rally partner, and I attended. Communication is key on a rally team. Locally, nationally, it's important. And every team communicates differently. Some chat and look at this and look at that, and others are just focused with their little blinders on. I get a call from Bruce the morning after, hey kiddo, if we're ever gonna rally, since you're down here in America, why don't you fly over to Pittsburgh? I'll pick you up as I'm going west over to Ohio. Zowie, I'm excited. Call my husband and say, hey, probably gonna extend. He goes, do it, go. It's an opportunity to run with Gezon. You're gonna learn something. It's all good. Then I got a chance to think, what have I got myself into? So I sent him an email and said, when you get upset, do you yell? And he wrote back and said, no, I usually get pretty quiet. I couldn't imagine him getting any quieter than he normally is. I started to question this. Then he wrote back and said, we didn't talk about this, but do you get car sick? He went on to tell me that we're going to be on back roads at speed, rough roads, dirt roads. And I think he was just trying to figure out that part. I fly over on Friday, and as I'm deplaning, I see one of those burp bags on the back of a seat. And I had no choice. I snagged it out and went to the hotel. The next morning, Bruce comes by. We load my gear in the back seat because I'm going to go over to his house in Pennsylvania after the rally. And I put my coat in the back and get into the navigator's seat and tuck my little burp bag in the visor. And I remember looking over at him for a reaction. He's very serious and very stern. He says, do you really need that thing? And at that point, I couldn't hold back anymore. And I started laughing. I said, no, but since you asked the question, and it was a little late to find out if your navigator is going to Ralph in the car, I just couldn't pass it up when I left the plane. Yeah, maybe that's not the most prestigious thing that I could say on a Hall of Fame, but it's the way it goes sometimes. Bruce, I don't know what all to say here. Our sport is like autocross. We had a gremlin in the computer on that Johnny Appleseed rally, and all of us have been to an autocross or perhaps a road race where there's this kind of excuse where you say, well, if I hadn't wiped out that back row of cones, or, if I hadn't just clipped the backside of that slalom, our time would have been 5 seconds faster or 6 seconds. I would have beat you if I hadn't done this or that. Well, as rallyists, we look at our scores and say, man, if we hadn't, on that checkpoint, if we hadn't missed that backed up stop sign, and with Bruce and we looked at the scores and said, if we hadn't had that gremlin on those two, our scores wouldn't have been so bad. We're always in search of perfect scores. And for our sport, getting a 0 is the optimum thing. With his many championships and rally adventures, Bruce has rallied from Ottawa, Canada, and perhaps beyond, down to Mexico City in Mexico. He has covered the breadth of the United States from the west to the east. Be clear about this. Bruce, at age 80, is still a viable competitor, be it a local event, national, or divisional. His contributions to the sport as record keeper, sharing his historical archives to publications, speaking up as to the direction of our club when rules are being made. These simply add on to his laurels as a championship. Yet above all, the greatest honor is to induct Bruce Gezon into the SCCA Hall of Fame class of 2021. Congratulations, my friend.
Thanks, Cheryl, for your very kind introduction. And thanks for being my friend. And thank you for your lifetime commitment to SCCA. Rallying is what I love. I've loved it since I was a teenager. My exceptional wife, my job of 53 years, my oldest friends were all the result of my rallying. Now, rallying may be a strange thing to a lot of you out there, and the way it is these days, it's pretty different from what it used to be. I'll try to give you a brief description of me riding along in my Mini, driving. I've got my navigator next to me, fiddling with the computer, trying to do something to keep me on time with a driver's display in front of me. And that driver's display is telling me if I am on time to the 1,000th of a minute, 1,000th of a minute, because I have to average 1/3 of a second error over dozens of checkpoints in order to be able to win. That's how accurate things have to be. And you're one with the car and dependent on the synergy created by the need to perform your best in order to win. It is the greatest pleasure to be joining a group of SCCA rally friends. Wayne Zitkus, whose Andiamo National Rallies were the gold standard. Gene Henderson and his Competition Limited team were our friendly competitors when we campaigned as one of the Ford Rally Team cars. John Buffum and those unforgettable tales of his and Gene Howman's adventures as told over dinner in Horseheads, New York, and of course, Harry Hadley, the gentleman of SCCA Westover. Rallying is a team sport with success dependent on your rally partner, and I have had many great partners over these 50+ years. Jack Chittister, David Teeter, Curtis Graff, Fred Mapplebeck, Steve Gaddy, and Bob Morseberg. My father, my son, my wife. You can't do it all by yourself. I started out as a pencil and paper navigator, but always wanted to find a good navigator so I could finally drive. I do like driving best. One short story, it was 1967, a couple of years after running my first SCCA rally, the Jersey 500 in northern New Jersey. I had always hoped to race my 60 TR3 at Cumberland and Mid-Ohio, but decided to sell it in order to pay for the airfare to California to fight for my first championship. Being runner-up is just another loss as far as I'm concerned. However, the trip didn't work out very well. But being a navigator, I didn't need the triumph as I would be rallying in the driver's car. And I still had my 65 Elan, for laying out new rally courses and running autocrosses. Success would soon follow because I had the best SCCA rally driver ever, Jack Joester, a loved, longtime Steel Cities region member. My favorite rally story is not an SCCA story, but from my 23 years of running the vintage car rally called Grace Race. Misnamed Great Race because race sounds far more exciting than rally. To be on a rally is to be on course first, then on time if you want to win. On time theoretically means being on 1 minute string behind the seldom seen car in front of you, while the car behind is another 1 minute back. Curtis Graff and I were in our first year as a team member of Roush Racing, and we had made a wrong turn. Down almost 2 minutes, and an old car is a challenge to make up on narrow back roads. And to do so, we had to pass the car on their invisible 1 minute string navigated by Jack himself. Once passed, we dead reckoned our way back to the position where the two strings, his and ours, met. No driver's displays or computers on these rallies, just old pencil and paper. Our score at the checkpoint was just 1 second off, and with it, the renewed faith of our benefactor. The motorsports folks at Ford and Nissan enabled us to showcase their commitment to SCCA TSD rallying over the years. Jack Roush and George Alderman showed their faith through their backing of many years. Thanks to all my friends and family, some no longer with us, for the life that I've enjoyed through rallying, and thanks to you, the Sports Car Club of America, for this honor.